Okay, I'm going to be making a zucchini pie. Yum, I love zucchini pie. So I have 3 zucchinis that are pre-sliced here. And then I have 1 large onion that I diced. I have a can of evaporated milk. I have basil, salt, pepper, lemon pepper. I have some parsley that's divided here. One is about 1 tablespoon and the other is about 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley. I have some lard. You could also use Crisco or butter. And I will be using butter too. And I have a bag of mozzarella cheese and some all-purpose flour and eggs. Did I mention eggs? I have a dozen eggs. So let's get started on this. First things first, I'm going to heat up my skillet to medium and add about 3 tablespoons of butter to the skillet. While the skillet's heating up, we can go ahead and get started on our pie crust. So I'm going to follow the directions on the back of the lard container for the pie crust. I'm just going to cut it in half though, because this is for 2 pie crusts and I only want to make 1 pie crust. So I need 1 cup of flour. So 1 cup of flour. And really it says to sift the flour, but I don't have a sifter, so I can't really sift the flour. And then I need 2/3 cup of lard. Now I've chilled this lard so it should be nice and cold, which will make the pie crust flakier. Oh, I broke my measuring cup. That's okay, I can glue it back together. And there's 2/3 cup. Now our butter is melted, so I'm going to go ahead and add our onions. Mix those up. Put a little bit of salt on them. You know what would be really good? Truffle salt. Let's add a little bit of truffle to it. So I'm going to use this truffle salt. You don't have to, but I just want to give it a little bit more oomph. So I'm going to add some truffle salt to it. Ooh, that smells good. Okay, back to our pastry. So you want to take a fork and cut in that lard and the flour. Now you could do this in a food processor. That's the best way to do it because you don't work it as much when you make it in a food processor. But my food processor is too small to make pie crust in. And really you don't even have to make a pie crust if you don't want to. You could make this without a crust, just use nonstick spray on your pie pan. But I want a crust because I like the crust on zucchini pie. Okay, that's looking nice and flaky. So now we need some ice water. Okay, I'm just going to pour a little bit in there. And that looks like it should probably be about enough. Okay, just a tad more. So we got a nice dough ball for our pie. I'm going to stick that in the fridge real fast to chill. Now back to these onions. We want these onions to be nice golden color, so we're going to keep sauteing those until they get golden. In this bowl, I'm going to start making our kind of like, I guess it'd be a custard for the pie. So I'm going to pour in our evaporated milk. You could use heavy cream. In fact, heavy cream would probably be a lot better than evaporated milk. If I don't have any heavy cream. Now I'm going to start cracking these eggs. I'm going to use the whole dozen. So we got a dozen eggs in there. And you know what I forgot? I'm going to need some oil too. I always forget one thing or another. So I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now I want to add my basil. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of basil. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of black pepper. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of lemon pepper. And I'm going to add the 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley. Keep sauteing those onions until they turn golden brown. It's starting to get there. Okay, now back to this custard we're making here. Now I'm going to pop all the yolks. And start whisking that. Okay, now I'm going to add my mozzarella cheese to the custard mix. And mix that up in there. And then I'm going to set this aside. Okay, our onions are getting nice and golden brown. Look at that, yum. Okay, so it's time to add our zucchini. And really, you don't have to saute the vegetables before you put them in the pie, but I'm just doing it because it's going to give it more flavor when you saute them first. Okay, on a floured work area, you want a rolling pin and your pie crust. Put your pie crust on the floured work area. Sprinkle a little more flour on the pie crust. And sprinkle a little flour on the rolling pin. Rub it on there. And roll out your pie crust. And I can't really do the best job because the tripod's in the way, but I'm going to try and get this as round as possible. This looks like excellent pastry. I might have to use lard for pastry from now on because it worked great. This is my first time using lard for pastry. Okay, that looks like a big enough crust. Now I'm going to take my pie pan and carefully put the pastry on top. Yum. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat on this burner and just let this cool down. Take it off the heat, let it cool down before I add it to the custard. And then here I'm going to fold over the edges here. Oh, you know what? I forgot to add salt to it. You should have added like a little bit of salt to the pie crust. I think I'm going to sprinkle salt on top of it. That might make it taste better. But yeah, I forgot to add salt to the pie crust. You're going to want to add, let's see, how many teaspoons was it? You want to add half a teaspoon to the pie crust, but I forgot to add it. Good thing I found out before I baked it. So I'm just going to, that's pepper. Don't want pepper on the pie crust. I'm just going to salt it real quick. Okay. And now I'm going to press down with my fingers to make some ridges on the pie crust. Looks great. Okay. So now all we got to do is just wait for that zucchini and onions to cool down, and then we'll be ready to fill our pie crust. Okay, so we have our custard here, and now we're going to add our cooled down zucchini and onions to the custard. Yum, that smells good. Like I said, you don't have to saute the zucchini and onions first. It's just going to give it more of a yummy flavor when you do that, because we all know how delicious caramelized onions are. Okay. So now I have the pie crust that has been chilling in the fridge. We're going to pour in our zucchini pie. Ooh, it's overflowing. We had made a little too much of that, but it will evaporate while it's cooking in the oven. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven now, and I'm going to set the timer for 30 minutes. Alright, it should be done. Let's check on it. No, not quite done yet. I'm going to set it for another 10 minutes. It's still pretty liquidy. Okay, let's check on this again. Looks like it's nearly done. Just a little more time. I'm going to put it in for 5 minutes more. So that's going to be 45 minutes total. Alright, it should be done by now. It's looking good. I think it's done. Yum. It smells good. It looks good. Let me zoom you in on it. There it is. Yummy. Let's put some fresh parsley on top. And I'm just going to let this cool a little bit before we cut into it. Okay, let's cut into this pie now. Now, I think it's actually cooked all the way through. It's just a little runny because of the zucchini. Because it looks like the egg part is cooked. I think the zucchini just was so, there's so much water in the zucchini that it's still wet. But the egg all looks cooked in there. See. It looks good. I'm going to give it a little taste here. See, the egg looks cooked. It's just runny, and that could also be because of the cheese, because there's a whole bag of cheese in here. Oh, that's so good. Yes, it's cooked all the way through. It's just a little juicy. What I would probably do is let it sit more to let it evaporate more water, and then it would all settle in. But yeah, it's definitely done. It is delicious. This is so good. Yum. Well, I'm going to go enjoy this. I hope you enjoy it too. And have a great day. Bye.